Hi, in this video we're going to talk about pushing contacts. Let's start with the beginner demo. Alright, so for contacts push, we're going to click this button. Here we have a simple database with first name, last name, company email, and then an Outlook ID which we'll receive after we push this contact. So the idea is we can just fill in these simple fields, and then let's go ahead and insert that into Outlook. Okay, now it asks us to authenticate Outlook, so we can do that back on the setup screen. The authenticate to Outlook is simply just a way to establish that initial handshake to Outlook, and it only has to be done once per session. So once you authenticate to Outlook, for example, let's say you open FileMaker and have an opening script that authenticates to Outlook, once that's done, you've done your job there. Then you can go ahead and do any of the other commands. So I've just done that now here, and the result is 0. So that is success in this case. So let's go back to contacts push, and now click insert again. And you can see here we've inserted a contact, and this is the Outlook ID returned from that contact that we inserted. Let's go take a close look at Outlook right now. I'll go ahead and get that up. Note that Outlook could be either open or closed visibly or invisibly. In other words, if I call this and Outlook happen to be closed, it'll still attempt to establish a communication into Outlook and then push the data over and do that even though you haven't already opened Outlook. If Outlook happen to be open, the same thing applies. So it's a neat flexible feature there. Here's John Smith. We just pushed John Smith, and you can see here AAA company. So if I were to go ahead and push that again, let's say he had a twin brother named Johnny Smith, and Johnny Smith worked for, let's see, 123 Test Company. Let's go ahead and set up FileMaker to be on the left side of the screen. Okay, I've now positioned my FileMaker on the left side and my Outlook on the right side, so you can have a visual on this. I'm going to go ahead and click Insert again, and this time you can see that there's Johnny Smith, obviously with a new ID, right next to John Smith. So before we get much further in some of the other things like editing and deleting, let's go ahead and take a look at the script that produces that. So I'm going to open up the script workspace, and I think I could just put in the word contacts here, and then the script is called Enter into Outlook. So let's open this up a little wider so it doesn't fold on itself. And we first perform a script called plugin checker. That's just like a housekeeping script that just determines is the plugin installed and so forth. You can see here that we attempt to authenticate. Then we call a command called open folder. This establishes the handshake to which folder we're talking about. In this case, I'm grabbing the contacts folder, and I'm getting that from the G contacts field. Then we call the new record command, and then we establish all the fields we want to populate within that record. And to get the official names of these fields as Outlook recognizes them, you can get that from the Fields and Functions guide. So essentially we establish which folder, create a new record, set the fields, and then we save the record. Once we save the record, it'll tell Outlook to go ahead and populate that with a new record. If we received an error, which is indicated by this particular symbol here, not symbol, but this string, which is exclamation error and so forth, if it had an error, we would produce that as a custom dialog. We'd show an error such as maybe we had a character string that was too long, maybe we called the commands in the wrong order, meaning we didn't call new record command, but we called save record without calling the new record command. Anything that went wrong would show up there. Otherwise, it'll just be successful. Now note that we put all of this in a variable, so that if you're debugging this, which we'll do in a second, you'll be able to see each result, whether it's successful or not, as it's happening. And then we put here the G contacts Outlook ID, which is the same field as indicated over here. When this save record is called, it actually returns the ID of the Outlook record. Why is that important? It's really important when we go to edit it. So let's look at the edit command. Let's take the same guy, Johnny, and let's just say that he changed his first name to Harry Smith, also at the same company. Now let's go ahead and edit that contact, and now Johnny has changed to Harry, and of course it resorted it. But that's how you edit it. Let's go take a look at what that looks like on the edit script. So if I look under my contacts, edit and Outlook, these scripts are very similar in how they're designed, but let's go see the subtle differences between the edit and the new. We do the same thing. We do the plugin checker, we authenticate, and then we open the record, which is different. Before, if you recall, we opened the folder. This time we open the record because we have an actual record ID, which is this. So opening the record, we don't have to specify which module. We can just open it by ID. We do the same thing, set, and save. All of this is identical. So, and then again, we look for an error and move on. So that's how that works. That's the edit. Now the delete, might as well stay here for that. Let's look at delete, contacts, delete individual. Delete is actually even easier. We do the same housekeeping scripts, and then we call the delete record command, and we give it the Outlook ID, and then it either works or it doesn't. So let's go ahead and call the delete record command. Again, this is going to be Harry Smith with this ID. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Harry Smith has now been deleted. And then if we wanted to view it, we would be able to view it. Now, of course, we already deleted that one, so we're not going to be able to view it. But let's go ahead and click the view button anyway. We should get an error. And here's our error. You cannot display a record that doesn't have an Outlook ID. All right, let's take a look at how this view contact in Outlook works. Let's go ahead and create a new contact. And let's go ahead and insert that. There's Fred Flintstone, and now let's view that contact. And there Fred comes right up with this view command, and that's a neat little command here. Display. Okay, we can put in the command display, and at this case it just says, okay, if there's an Outlook ID, continue forward, and then we simply call the open record command, give it the ID, and then we tell it to display that. And you can look at all these commands in great detail, but it's a great feature to be able to view the contact that you just created. All right, I think that concludes our push to contacts from FileMaker.
To learn more, contact us at sales@productivecomputing.com or visit our website, www.productivecomputing.com. Thank you for watching.